I would be remiss if I didn't throw two things your way. One is Thriller, Michael Jackson.
I remember when Thriller came out. That was, I think, the first music video with $1 million budget, which is still a lot of money for a music video, but at that time it was unbelievable. John Landis directed it, and I think Michael Jackson got in some trouble about it because there are so many things revolving around the occult in the video, and he felt compelled to put a little disclaimer at the beginning of the video stating that this does not reflect a belief in the occult, which I guess made everything okay. It was nice because it also put Vincent Price back in the spotlight, kind of introduced him to a whole new generation of people. And even the making of Thriller became a huge hit in and of itself, that was a lot of fun to watch. My favorite part of that was when they're asking Michael Jackson to scream like a werewolf, and they kept back and forth between the actual final footage with, you know, the voice dubbed in like, "Arr!" and then Michael going, "Ah!"
How much of an impact do you think that had on videos that came after it?
When Thriller came out, it really raised the bar for music videos. I mean, everybody was trying to aspire to a higher level of production value after that video came out. He made it hard on everybody.
How about when he did the moonwalk? I don't know if you've attempted the moonwalk in any of your videos. But.
I've never attempted the moonwalk. I decided I'd leave that to Michael. When I first saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk on the Motown 25 show, I think everybody just saw that and their jaws dropped. I mean, nobody had ever seen that. 99.9% of the population of North America had not seen that before, I'm sure. And it was just bizarre to see, because here was a guy, you know, that was doing this, living, breathing optical illusion of walking forward and at the same time sliding backwards, and it was just bizarre to watch. And then he did it again. Like, how does he do that? You know. And up until that point in the performance, he was great and mind-blowing, but when he did that, people just went insane. I think he probably sold 2 million copies of his album the next day.
What makes Michael Jackson so right for comedy?
In the mid-'80s, Michael Jackson was the biggest force in the pop culture universe. He was about as famous as a person could possibly get. And that alone makes something a good candidate for parody or for comedy. But he had a lot of quirks, a lot of idiosyncrasies, a lot of little tics and habits and quirks that just made him interesting, and things that were easy to caricature.
Could you give me one or two of those?
There was, there was the epaulets on his shirt. There was the one glove thing. There were the high water pants and the white socks. The way he wore his hair. Just the way he talked, the way he moved. I mean, there are a lot of things you could take off on.
The Coca-Cola Hilltop commercial. I don't know if you warmed up and you want to hum it. You don't have to.
Oh, that's okay. I remember when the Coca-Cola Hilltop commercial came out, and in retrospect, I guess that was a reaction to Pepsi, because for World War II and most of the 50s, Coca-Cola was dominant in the Cola War, and Pepsi decided that the only way they were going to be able to get a share of the market was to attack the youth market, to really get a stronghold with the younger viewers. So they started the whole Join the Pepsi Generation campaign, and lo and behold, they were getting a good chunk of the marketplace. They were getting all the young people to drink Pepsi. So this was Coke's response to that. They were going to show all these young people from around the world on a hilltop drinking Coca-Cola. So take that, Pepsi.
Was it a little corny? Not corny?
Oh, it depends how jaded you are. Some people thought the commercial was a little corny, but I thought it was, it was nice. It was, inspirational in a way, I suppose.
Had a nice sentiment to it.
It had a nice sentiment to it, yeah.
Bill Clinton on Arsenio. I was telling you, off camera that don't know where it's going to be, but I'm sure it'll be pretty high up there. Why didn't you parody that? No, what was your reaction when you saw it?
Bill Clinton is not the best sax player, but the simple fact that he went on the Arsenio Hall show and did it, I think freaked a lot of people out. I mean, you just didn't ever see a presidential candidate do that. You didn't see, Richard Nixon play the accordion on The Tonight Show, or Ronald Reagan doing a guitar solo on Letterman. I mean, that just didn't happen. So it was just, I think a lot of people found it endearing because it really humanized him. I mean, I think between his appearance on the Arsenio Hall show playing the saxophone and the appearances he did on MTV doing the question and answer segments with the young voters, I think he got such a I think that really helped him get elected. He got a huge segment of the young voters, and a lot of people just liked that quality in him.
Did that appearance affect your vote personally?
I will vote for anybody that plays the saxophone. That's just me, though.
You know what? That's a good approach. I was telling Arsenio that this is not my quote. It's actually, in fact, Ice-T's quote. So he wouldn't kick my ass or anything. But I think Ice-T was the guy who said, sort of starting with that appearance, Bill Clinton is the first black president.
I remember him saying that. Yeah.
You don't have to say that. Arsenio did. But right. How accurate is that?
I don't think that Bill Clinton is in fact black, but he does play the saxophone.
Fair enough. Another big moment which certainly bothered a lot of music purists was when the Beatles sold their song to Nike, Revolution.
Now, was it the Beatles that did that, or?
That's true. Michael Jackson probably did.
I guess Michael Jackson had the rights to the Beatles catalog, so I guess it was he that sold Nike the Revolution song for their ad campaign, which I didn't really have a problem with, because when I was a kid hearing Revolution for the first time on the radio, I thought, that would make a really good shoe commercial.
Were you as upset when it came out? Or would you just tell the critics to just kind of chill out, it's just an ad?
I think we've all gotten a little desensitized about Madison Avenue's rape of our pop culture, so it's hard for me to get too wound up or upset about it, but, it is a little silly.
How about Elvis and Ed Sullivan? How big it's...
Costello, or no, the other one? Okay.
Yeah, Presley.
Right.
How big a moment is that when, they shoot him from the waist up?
I don't think I was around when Elvis was performing on Ed Sullivan, but of course the famous story is they could only shoot him from the waist up because he was just too raw below the waist. He was just gyrating his hips and doing all sorts of awful things like that. And in truth, he kind of ruined it for everybody. He ruined it for me because a lot of times people can only shoot me from the neck up because I'm just exuding raw sexuality at all times.
So
it makes it difficult.
You don't really like Elvis as a result of that, do you?
He just makes it difficult for everybody. He sets a bad example.
I'm sorry I stepped on you, if you can say that again.
He makes it difficult for everybody. He set a bad example.
Going over to Frank Sinatra at the Grammys, the guy finally gets this Lifetime Achievement Award, and half of what he had to say, no one but who was in the audience that night saw it. Did you care? I mean, do you really want to know what Frank has to say when he's 80-something years old? Or?
Well, Frank Sinatra was kind of rambling on a bit, but I wouldn't want to be that producer that said, "Okay, let's cut away to commercial." He still can't be feeling too good about that. That's going to be tough to live down. You don't cut off Frank Sinatra ever. In fact, I think when they came back from commercial, Gary Shandling was hosting the show, and he said, "I don't think even Lorena Bobbitt would have cut Frank off."
I don't want to throw you this line if you don't want to go there, but I mean, is it, as far as music is concerned, is it sort of like cutting off God in a way?
I don't know if I'd say that. It's just, it was Frank's Lifetime Achievement Award, and he should have just been able to, ramble on as long as he wanted to, and it was just kind of a shame. You had to feel bad for him.
Rosanne and the national anthem. Again, another performance that kind of pissed some people off. Others thought was funny. What was your personal take on it?
You know, that was just a slow news week. That's what that was. I mean, Rosanne was singing the national anthem at a Padres game, and I think the conventional wisdom was she grabbed her crotch and spit on the ground because that's what ball players do, and she was trying to be funny. And some people thought it was a statement about the American flag and the national anthem and some kind of anti-patriotic stance, and I don't think that's what she was trying to do, but people got all up in arms about it, and there were these Rosanne boycotts and editorials, and like I said, you know, it's like slow news week. I mean, this was international news. Like, you flip the dials and, like, you know, halfway around the world, oh, Rosanne, she grabbed crotch!
Did you think it was funny?
It wasn't particularly funny. It was, you know, kind of crude, but it just wasn't that big of a deal.
And last question, because you've been great about sitting here through all of it.
Well, you too.
Is, you know, I think we got to end on Madonna on Letterman and just swearing her ass off. Is this breaking new ground for her?
Well, you know, Madonna likes to reinvent herself all the time, and I think that particular night on Letterman, she wanted to reinvent herself as a person with Tourette syndrome. And it seemed to work for her.
Perfect. Why don't we end there?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.